Test, test, test. You are live.
Test.
You are alive.
What are you testing?
1, 2, 3. Anybody there? Hey guys, I see 19 people.
Oh,
Cool. So please, 19 people, let you know.
and 24 likes.
Let,
Love
let
it.
us know that you're live too.
Yeah.
Send something in the chat. Anybody can write in the chat. Chat is on your right, I think, or on your left, somewhere there on the side.
So I'm William.
My name is Yana. We decided that we're going to introduce ourselves because so many times in our videos we're like, who are these people? What are they doing? Like we're just completely skipping all the intro parts. So we're going to do the intro.
Yes, and 7 years living aboard boats with an S in multiple places. We are currently in Thailand, and
we are refitting an aluminum catamaran that we just got in South Africa.
right, and you can go back on the videos about the tour, where it came from, and the history about it. There's 2 or 3 videos about it, so there's an awful lot of information. But we were actually inundated with questions, and comments
today. Exactly, and that's why we're doing this live. We're going to be talking today specifically about the questions that we got from the comments section of the last boat tour and the sneak peek of the boat tour, right?
Yes, and little entry as well. We're Dawn Hunters. We started the YouTube channel 4 years ago.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we started the YouTube channel as kind of like, okay, we'll just document some things. Here we are these years later we hit 70,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you guys for watching, and thank you all of you who are here with us live. That's amazing.
Yeah, we have run into people everywhere we go, from South Africa, from Durban, from Tanzania to Phuket to etc. So it's really been a journey, and it's really been quite well to meet people, and also people have helped us that we would have never have known if it wasn't for the channels. So we continue the channel, sometimes begrudgingly, but to give back to our community.
Yep. So let's say hello to people who are here. So okay, if I misspell your names, you know me. Clive is here, Jai Jeffek, Blair is here, Paulo, Jorge, Jason, Help the Oceans, Steven, newcomer, Jason, Glock, Robert, Rob. Hello, Rob. Rob is our patron. Nick, and maybe some other of you that we don't know. If you're a patron, let us know.
And if you ran into us, let us know, because the words that come up here aren't always the people that we've met.
Hello, guys. I see Portugal. I see Canada. I see Texas, Brazil. This is awesome. Hi, guys.
Cool.
Yeah,
and
thank
I
you.
saw Clive back there, the stainless steel wobbler or whatever he is. He's been with us since we started. So good morning. I think you said 2 a.m. Probably just got back from having a beer, and now he's going to watch
Miami
us.
is here. So we're going to be, so the chat is always delayed a little bit for us. So we're going to be like answering the question, and then coming back to what you guys are saying in the live chat and kind of chatting back and forth. But by any means, if you have also questions, write that in the box. And how we're going to be like, what if they like the same question that we have here saved in the comments? How are we going to do that?
Well, also on live, I don't know if people know, but you can always go back. We post the live, so you can watch the live again and again. So some of the questions, if we've covered them,
somebody wants to watch it again and again.
Well, a lot of the questions we're going to cover are actually about not just an aluminum boat, but about the technicalities of the boat. And I might spill a whole lot of information fast, and then you can go back and review it or send us an email. It's light out behind us because it is currently
9 a.m. in Thailand.
9 a.m. in Thailand. We are like 12 hours different from the States.
Yeah.
So we got up.
Even Australia is here. That's awesome.
Had our Miami. Coffee.
Netherlands. Awesome, guys.
113. Hit the like, thumbs up button. And let's dive into the questions, I guess.
Yeah. Did you guys have a tsunami hit Thailand, which started in Japan? No tsunami here, thanks God.
Yeah, Yana had tsunami alarms on her phone.
I actually do. I have, like, since we came to Thailand, like it's been half a year, and then I'm like, shit, like
That
I
are
got,
constantly going off.
yeah, I got, no. First, I didn't have them, remember? And then I was like, oh my god, I have to have them. So now, I have them going off all the time because it's like, would say, earthquake in Indonesia, like, or earthquake in India, and then I'm like, oh my god.
You know,
Anyways.
we're living on a boat at anchor, and sometimes worried about a tsunami somewhere. The weather is either your friend or your enemy. We've been through storms, hurricanes, and more stuff than I want to talk about, which is really why, as an intro, we are on a aluminum catamaran, or we will be on aluminum catamaran.
Yeah, right now we are on a Saba 50.
We're sitting on the Saba 50.
And it's for sale.
It's for sale. It's our, right now it's our transition boat. And the aluminum vessel is what we actually started looking at years ago, but it was too expensive to build one, too long. And we were looking at monohull exploration and expedition.
Yeah, and we
boats.
had just so many, like, if you, I don't know if we really portray that, but William has so many boxes that need to be checked that it's almost impossible for us to get something on the market and for William to be happy about it. Saba 50 was a great boat, but I think he compromised like a lot. Again, it's just for him. It's a compromise for him as an engineer of what he needs or what he wants on the boat. And so, yeah, every time he would be thinking about other boat, he would be in love with it for a week, and then after a week, he's gonna be like having a long list why this is not a good boat. At some point, I said, you know what? Do not talk to me about those boats, because like he gets me all excited, and then in 2 weeks he's bashing those boats, saying like why they're horrible and why we can't have it or whatever, you know. So I'm actually very excited that we finally get the perfect boat.
Well, and as you're living on a boat, the other very important factor, when you're living on a boat, and if it's beautiful and it's perfect, well, you want to work on something, or you kind of want to have a tool room, or you kind of want to cut out and put in a washer machine or something. You don't want to mess with a exquisite boat, so you just kind of live on it. We decided to step down, I guess, in value, or instead of the penthouse, we're moving down to the 10th floor. But on the 10th floor, we can build a workshop. We can do a bunch of things on the boat. And every time we're in a storm, we're not going to be as concerned about who hits us. A friend of ours was hit about 2 months ago. He was sleeping in his cabin. A boat hit his sailboat, skid up on the top of the deck. By only 2 feet, it would have killed him. The 2 of the people on the boat flew off. 2 were unconscious. If anyone hits this aluminum boat, I feel sorry for them, because they are not going to hurt the boat. They're going to hurt themselves. And that's what we wanted, was it's our home. We wanted safety and security. So why aluminum? Well, that is the number one question. And the answer for that is because this vessel is built of 5053 marine aluminum. It's strong. It's anti-corrosive. It has been designed. It's used in missiles, airplanes, and expedition vessels. It's flame proof. The bottom line is it's a very safe, rigid boat. And for 2 people that don't sail very often, and we really don't know a lot about sailing, sometimes we're hitting huge waves that are flying over the deck. Sometimes we're pointing in the wrong direction. We're learning how to sail a catamaran and being on a catamaran. So the aluminum was a vessel that allows us to even beach the thing if we have to. And it's the best for our choice. And I see a lot of people moving to aluminum. We have a lot of Delos questions, a lot of other people that are building buggy, etc.
And that's why let's just say quickly what kind of boat that is.
Okay.
Yeah, so because we skipped that part.
Okay, so we went back to here.
Yeah.
So there is a video also about what the boat is and where it's made, etc., etc. But the designer is an Anton Dutoit. If you Google him, and we'll put the words on the bottom, He has a yacht design and specializes in catamaran design vessels. He's in South Africa. He designed this boat in 2012. It was built between 2013 and 14. It was splashed in 2015. So the boat has, from 2015 to 2025, probably maybe 35,000 nautical miles, 6,000 nautical miles getting here. So the boat is not an experiment. It's a boat that has been tried and true. It has been sailing in 50-foot waves. It has been in 60 knot winds. It has sailed 25 knots coasting down the back end of a wave. So it's sailed all over South Africa.
And to Tanzania and to almost to the border with Somalia, because that's where the fishing trips they were doing there.
So these South African guys, they know how to sail. I mean, they look for nasty weather and storms and out they go. We see nasty weather and storm and in we go. So the boat has really been worked hard. And that's another thing that I wanted. I didn't want an experiment. I didn't want a test boat. I didn't want to be the first. I've designed a lot of firsts in my life. And yes, it's amazing, but you are the guinea pig. And we would rather fix.
And we had that on the Dawn Hunter. There were so many things that we did ourselves. And it was like new things. And the electric dinghies at that time were appearing only. And dripless shaft seals and who knows what, right?
Yeah,
and it was just so many things we did. They didn't work out.
We learned after 2 or 3 years living aboard and being in the end of the remote islands, that's not a place to test something. So when we found this boat already was tested. It already was put through the ringer, and it actually looked very good. It looked excellent after 9 years of heavy duty use. And nobody babied the boat. So that's, we were able to see what we got. The second most asked question.
What is that? We're going over it here, right? Why no generator? And before you say anything, let's just read a couple of things. Yep. Sail drives instead of shafts. We're going to be covering that. Newcomer, I have to worry about the hull. Now is Yanni going to be active in the design? Of course. What do you mean? Okay. And a lot of folks advocate for buying used, so the bugs get worked out. New has a break-in and troubleshooting period for sure. Yes, that was one of our, because William is always like, I have no time left. I have to go boating. So I'm like, you have all the times in the world. You're going to be living till you're 1,000 years old. I'll die before you. So don't worry about it. But he's still like, he wants to go boating as fast as possible. That was also one of the reasons why we got this boat versus like building one or, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And big and heavier, more danger, lots of energy. Just be careful. Can hurt the doctor. Don't hurt the doctor. It's a stout boat. The metal can get hot in the tropic. Okay. So we
excellent. And 195 people here.
Hit that like button. Only 100 likes. What are you guys sleeping there or something? Wake up.
Welcome. Happy to see everybody. Merry Christmas to everyone. And soon, happy birthday. Happy New Year, I guess.
Yeah. So all of it. And by the way, also the question, does this type of aluminum produce aluminum? Do you have gray hands after running your hands on it? And do you have to use copper paint below the waterline?
Okay, that's a good question that we have to save.
All right, I'm gonna screenshot that one from Sylvian, and we're gonna come back to it later. So you can go back to answering okay. Why no generator?
Why no generator? Excuse me. I have had every type of power generation, from solar to hydro to wind, lithium generator, alternators. I can go on and on.
And that's actually was my question too, because I thought we were going to have a generator.
Because naturally the boat was built stout and Spartan. When I say Spartan, it was built for fishing and fishing in Somalia, racing fast, getting into regattas, etc. So it had no generator, no air conditioners on board, no dishwasher on board,
no washer,
gas cookup. I mean, effectively we went from the penthouse here to a boat. A boat that was very bare inside.
And it didn't even have mattresses. It had like a cushion pad for
Pads.
sleeping. Yeah.
So um, I have spent, I guess, almost 40 years looking at alternate power generation systems. And this boat not having a generator was another plus for me, because I wanted to utilize a different type of power generation and a mix and match. And you'll be seeing that. We're going to do a video and we're going to talk about upgrades. I'm not going to get into it this video, but we will not have a generator. There is no need for a generator if you properly design a power storage and power generation system, so that we will not have a typical generator using diesel. And we'll cover that in the future.
Yeah, so today we're going to be mostly talking about like the boat questions versus upgrades, because we're doing the different video on upgrades, and after the upgrades we do another live.
And you're going to have to follow us, because we are back into
You have to follow us.
Boatyard maniacs again. But every time we get a boat, we say this is going to be much less time. And I'm mixing days.
And I'm going to add on the power grid. We just said that we're not going to be like experimenting with anything, and here we are. Instead of installing like the regular diesel generator, we are doing something else. So yeah,
but that's
I told him all I need is dishwasher, air conditioner in the salon during the day, air conditioner in the master cabin at night. That's it. That's all I need.
So we're perfect. The dishwasher's right here. The air conditioner is no problem. That's a DC fan, just blows the wind on you, and stay out at Anchorage. Anyway.
In a pinch, the engines can charge the batteries, maybe. Maybe.
So the aluminum question number 3.
Aren't you worried about corrosion and stray currents? Ooh.
Yes. That's been a pretty interesting subject, because as people continually add hybrid engines, electric engines, lithium, solar, the boat companies are experts at building boats. And the marine engineers are typically not experts at power grid, power distribution, eddy, stray currents, etc. Having worked in the electronics field, designing circuitry, designing circuit boards, eddy current, stray currents, that's all you have to think about when you're doing specialized design. So the advantage of an aluminum boat, if controlled, it is the best material for power generation, power storage, provided you know what you're doing. But if I go backwards, the boat is built out of a 50-53 alloy aluminum. It's an aluminum that is anti-corrosion, anti-rust. You can look it up. It's a family of alloys of the 500 series. It automatically weathers with the salt water hitting it, and with the weather and the rain and the sun. But when you rub your hand on it, it does not make your hand gray. It does not come off. It itself anneals itself. It's used in aircraft, missiles, and it's used for fireproof vessels. So the aluminum is not new. It's the type of aluminum that you use that becomes very expensive. You can't use regular aluminum to build a vessel. The other important factor here is this boat is complete aluminum. It's not fiberglass on the top, which was one of the questions. And every 12 inches, there is an aluminum rib welded complete on both sides of the boat. 10 millimeter in some cases, 6.5. It's an extremely strong boat. It has a couple dents in it, because in 9 years, it wasn't a massive storm. It was pushed up on top of a concrete dock. So there's 3 really nice dents that are there. They have not compromised the integrity. The welds inside have not cracked or broken.
Yeah, when we were doing the survey and everything, like, we're fine, and we already got the boat, and then some people were coming up to us and they were like, "Oh, you got that boat, like that boat that was like in that big storm, and it was in the middle of all that crash and nothing happened with it." And we were like, "What crash? What storm? Where was it?"
So the boat is extremely strong, and the design is also very important. Where are your ribs? What are the placements? And finally, with eddy and straight current, the boat does not have a shore power cord. It has never had a shore power cord. It's never been plugged in. It
Are we
has
going to have a short
always
power
had
cord?
no.
No.
It's always had lithium batteries. It's always had solar panel charging, and it's always had wind charging. So there is an extension cord you could run through the boat, plug into the Victron if you really wanted to use the shore power for charging. But properly designed, you shouldn't plug into a marina because you're not going to be getting straight currents and grounding and stray voltages. But anyway, that's a little bit more technical. That's the top questions. Now let's take a quick look here.
Sailing Doodles crashed his new catamaran. Oh my goodness. I didn't hear that. We were actually going to watch his video just yesterday because William wanted to see his new cat, and that was not his new cat that he posted. So yeah, we don't know anything about that. By the way, I have to read you that. This beautiful lady doesn't ask for much about the air conditioning and all of that.
Oh, I thought there was somebody else with us in the boat.
Excuse me, bam. Bam, bam.
You know, this beautiful lady married an engineer. And now I know why, is because I can answer the questions and then I can only give the ask not much things back. So,
yeah, and first he's like, no way, this is not possible. I'm like, what do you mean it's not possible? It better be possible.
we have to pause for a minute. Is that the beautiful lady isn't who's asking for air conditioner. Our life changed only about 2.5 months ago, where suddenly everything's got to be cool. Everyone's got to be. I'm like, what's changed here? Well, what has changed is one of the questions that Rob had asked us. Yeah, we have an addition to our crew.
Yeah, we have a little dog. He's sleeping.
Where is he?
He's sleeping.
Bring him over here. See? This is who needs air conditioning.
He's sleeping. Wake him up.
So we have a new crew member.
Yes, and you guys see he's black and he's fluffy, so he needs his air.
So I had said we could just build a small doggy area and have air in it. So anyway, we are designing this vessel our way. And when I say that, we're not going to go into detail, but workshop the correct air conditioning in the correct places. Saba has an air conditioner in every cabin. It has a bathroom and a shower in every cabin. That means 4 bathrooms, 4 showers, 4 beds, 4 things to fix. There's the 2 of us and a dog.
Yeah, and we thought really hard. Again, we're not gonna go deep into the upgrades today, but it's like it's a boat for us, you know. And we decided that it's not gonna be the boat for potential guests once a year or something like that. Yeah, we can help them rent their I don't know, a hotel room, and yeah, and we're gonna like take them on the cruise or something. Yeah, we just don't do that kind of stuff when we take people weeks at a time and stuff like that.
The other important factor is we have been living, the both of us been living aboard boats for 7 years. We know exactly what we use for power. We know exactly what we need and when we need it. And we've actually trained ourselves to when the sun is shining, that's when we do the cooking and the heavy loads. So there is a process that you can really reduce your consumption and live off the solar, the hydro, the batteries, if you pay attention to what you're doing. When's the last time we've taken a hot shower at anchor?
Oh, almost never.
Almost never.
Yeah, we don't do that.
We don't. Why run the hot water heater? So little things like that change your power consumption immensely. We grill outside when we're grilling food, so we use a cooker inside for air frying. Summary is that we have 7 years of experience living aboard.
That's what everybody says who builds a boat, and then they have like, oh, we have a straight current.
Yeah, we have a problem. So 268 people.
Yeah, 268 people watching.
Merry Christmas.
Hit that like button if you can. Thanks you guys for watching. This is amazing. Let's answer a couple of questions that are not related to the boat. They're two the same. One from Ronald. Are you planning on visiting any other places? And are you going to stay sailing in Asia? By Mark.
All right. So we're here on 5-year visa.
Yeah.
So we can stay here as long as we want within the 5 years. It can be extended to 5 more years. we have only seen about 5% of this area. There are so many beautiful places to go, so many beautiful people, food, islands, diving. We're going to stay here for a while.
Yeah.
Naturally, we have to get the boat ready.
Yeah, we're gonna stay in Asia for a while, unless, I mean, you know us. We don't hold us accountable for these words,
Yeah.
but we think we're gonna stay in Asia for a while.
Yeah,
But that's
we're-
for
yeah,
we're not
let's-
saying anything. You know, you guys know us. We have
Let's-
when we say something, it's probably not gonna happen.
No, let's be careful. Last night we
Yeah.
watched our videos from Bahamas, shaking our head. One, the video quality has changed, I hope for the better.
Yeah.
But we would have never imagined we'd be in Asia. We would have never imagined we'd be in South Africa. We would have never imagined the life that we have. So
Yeah.
stop planning.
Yeah, we're not gonna be planning, but we think that we're gonna be in Asia for a while.
But we're not having children.
No.
No,
No, we're not.
So
If anybody, no, nobody asked that. I don't know why you're bringing this up.
So,
All right, so you
okay.
next question about are we starting or what electrolysis issues are unique to an aluminum hull vessel? You wanna answer that?
Okay. Electrolysis, by definition, is something that happens when you have difference of metal. In this case, you have a aluminum boat sitting in a salt brine, which is the water that you're in. And then you have bimetal issues where you have different types of metal. You can't put stainless directly onto aluminum, or the screws and the hardware is going to melt away. The aluminum melts away. Sometimes it's stainless. The boat was not hauled out for 2.5 years. The anodes on the boat were 4 years old. And when we took them off, maybe 10% was gone. We cleaned them up, turned them around, put them back on. All of the wires in this boat are running through non-metallic tubes that are inserted inside of aluminum tubes. So the wires are not, I guess, laying on the hull. They're not running through cabins and squirreling all over the boat. There are actually paths that the wires are running in for AC separate than DC. And 90% of the boat is DC. So DC does not give you the straight currents that AC would be giving you at a voltage. When you start going at 48, 56 volts with 200 or 300 amp, now you're going to be surging and building a transformer. So the best thing I can say is that if you've got an iPhone, the back of the iPhone has a charger that lays on another charger, that transformer effect of power and current going from one coil to the next is what you do not want on a boat. So you have to be very careful. The good thing about aluminum is because you have a grounded isolation field, then anything that you're running through a tube, as long as that's not laying on the hull, is not going to be straight current. And I won't go into a whole lot of detail on it, but aluminum is much easier to control your straight currents than fiberglass or plastic. You just have to keep everything away from each other and isolated. Hope that answers the question.
Let's say hello before we start answering questions from comments. So I see there is Gyro or Hyro, or probably not the correct, from Colombia. Hey, you can answer, how was our Christmas? Wisconsin says hi from Mark. Merry Christmas from Edwin. Thank you guys so much.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Our Christmas was, what did we do? We kind of like just were hanging around, two of us.
Yeah,
with the dog.
Because the boat was here and we didn't want to go battling a bunch of things. We had just come back from Africa, which was a hair-raising, blinding trip there and back. So our Christmas, we have a little Christmas tree. We said Merry Christmas to people and friends around the world. We had a little meal, and like most boaters do, we fell asleep early.
Yep. So let's start moving. So first question from the comment section under the video. Would be interesting to understand the differences between your boat and the one SV Delos 2 is building. And Delos 2 doesn't have a flybridge type helm, so it has a much lower boom. A question from this both are from Andrew and from Monster Hog.
Monster Hog and Andrew Mar and
yeah.
All right.
Delos.
I've been
Delos.
I've been watching.
This is not like Delos. Oh, this is like Delos. Oh, and Delos is doing that. Why are you not doing like Delos? I guess that's when you're famous. That's what happens.
Maybe. You think that she's had enough of hearing Delos?
No, I'm just joking. It's just funny. Like there are so many people that asking about like our boat compared to Dallas, and I understand why, because a lot of people, I guess, watching their build. I'm just joking.
Well, the good thing is that watching the Delos build, watching the Sailing in the Freedom Pucky build, watching the Sailing Channel, Sailing Adventure
Don't ask
Channel,
me. I'm not watching any of
their
this.
KM yacht build is what got me started on building. There's a lot of activity on new builds. Even if you look at what Sailing Doodles is a new build, and you look at the Vagabond new build. There's an Odd Life Crafting is doing an aluminum monohull. So when you're boating for a while, you know what happens to you? You become an expert, and suddenly you want to build your own boat because you know so much better than the industry. Guess what? If you haven't been around boats and you haven't an engineering background and degree and you haven't been in the environment, those ideas are kind of like YouTube ideas. They fall very fast, and now you have issues and problems. Our boat is similar to Delos because it's aluminum and it's a catamaran. It has two hulls.
No, I was saying Delos 2 doesn't have a flybridge type helm, so it has a much lower boom.
Right. So what I'm saying is that the only similarities we have to Delos boat is it's aluminum and it has two hulls.
No way. Come
There's
on.
so many differences. There's so many
here
design.
we go. Our boat is not like SV Dallas 2.
No. So, the design, you have to look at a boat either as an engineer or as a boater. I look at a boat as an engineer. I look at the drawings, the design, the hull. We have an upper and lower helm station. Yes. They have a lower helm station with two doors leaving from the front. They have shafts and shaft drive. We have sail drive. Their boat can sit on the hard, just like our boat can sit on the hard. So there's similarities, but every boat has a design criteria that they follow. And the de Villiers boat is an amazing design. I think it's an excellent design. We didn't buy a boat that we designed. We bought a boat that we fell in love with the design. And now we're here to make it our way. So I really feel the pain of Delos having to pick out everything from cabinets to hardware to insulation. Our boat already came with insulation. It came with 8 inches of insulation, and it is quiet. It is not cold. It is not hot because we're on the boat. We're on the boat on the hard. So we don't have to be sold on what insulation to use. It's been there, and I'm tearing the walls apart. And I can see the insulation has done a phenomenal job. So, yeah, the bottom line of the question.
By the way, somebody was asking about condensation.
Yeah, that's another thing. I would love to sit down with Delos and have a 2-hour conversation and have them look at our boat because we have a 10-year-old boat. There is no condensation inside. The insulation is not glued to the hull. Our steel boat had caulk and cork glued to the hull for condensation issues. This boat has drain areas. So if there is any condensation between the insulation and the hull, it drains and goes in the bilge, and it's fresh water because it's condensate and it's pumped away. So either you can try to control the world or you can adjust to the world. And, being on oil rigs are steel. They rust. They're out in the middle of the ocean. Does someone want to build an oil rig out of fiberglass? No, because it's properly designed. So bottom line is if the boat's properly designed and then it's properly fabricated. We don't have little stitch welds. We have continuous welds like I see Delos is doing with the boat. You can save costs by doing little 2-inch welds all over, but the moment you hit something, your welds can crack. Anyway, I won't get so technical, but a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. Watch us, watch them, watch all the aluminum people, and then continually give us your comments based on what you're seeing on YouTube.
So, okay, before we go to the next question that we have, we'll do quick here. Quick funny ones. Did you always feel like you would have a hot wife later on in life? That's a funny one.
That's a funny one. It's
Scotty.
Quick funny story. If you go all the way back to one of the old lives, how we met, I had always planned on retiring, and I say retiring, working somewhere on a boat, traveling. My dad's 93, and he still works when he can. So I love to work, but I didn't want to work in a typical box environment. So I always planned on leaving and going boating somewhere with the boat, with myself. And if I found somebody, great. If I didn't, so what? Maybe I'd be like, Tommy Bahama Bar. I never planned on having this amazing wife, my partner.
Finally, we like.
So
He's warming up.
He's warming
this
up
morning.
We have an amazing dynamic because I'm going to be 68 tomorrow. I don't know, on the 30th anyway.
Tomorrow, yeah.
I forget how old I am because I feel like a lot younger, and I feel my wife acts a lot older. We find a happy medium. So no, I didn't plan on having my amazing wife and partner. 7.5 years on a boat.
Why nobody asks me if I always
wanted an old geezer?
Yeah. Because I did.
Thank you very much. That's why we also bought an old boat. We're not into new shit.
It was my plan. It was my plan all this while.
Yes.
300 people watching! Yay! Thank you guys. That's amazing. I hope if you liked my joke, hit that like button.
That there's a story also to this, is that I have an amazing wife, beautiful, but this woman can break a tape measure. If she touches something, she breaks it.
Yeah, that's true.
She is not intentionally. She starts laughing. I'm like, what happened? Oh, I broke this, or it broke. Well, you know what? On this aluminum boat, she's not going to be breaking it.
Yeah, and I just saw like Sailing Doodle just lost his new boat.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We gotta find that.
3 or 4
Yeah,
places.
that's crazy. Anyways, that's bad. Yeah, it's whatever I touch. This man is the only thing I touched that is unbreakable.
Yeah, you've broken me.
Hey.
Quickly, the other reason that we fell in love with this aluminum catamaran is because it has a lower helm station. I've always wanted to have a trawler or a boat because of the protected lower helm station. When you're out and you just look at this last Hobart race, boats get demasted. And when you're in a nasty weather and the winds are howling, it's not just something's going to hit you. If that mast comes down or the boom swings, you're gone. And you don't pay attention when you're trying to grab something outside. So the people that brought the boat here, our captain, our crew, they said whenever the weather got really horrible, they came inside. And a side stay snapped from the top of the mast, one of the side stays, and that huge cable came spinning down in a circle and went out into the ocean, and they had to go out and drag it back in. Had that happen with them outside?
Yeah, we're actually doing the video, like a small video interview that's going to be next Saturday with our captain, and just talking about their voyage, and what happened and why did we decided to do that.
So safety isn't just aluminum. Safety to me is also having an inside helm station when the weather's really horrible. When you're at anchor and things are blowing around, you shouldn't be up on the top deck, holding on for dear life. So anyway, that's just a small segue to my beautiful wife.
Somebody also asked about veterinarian for the dog. Actually, when we were in Tanzania, we already had Raven. There was like only one veterinarian. And she was from Italy, and they had nothing like there. She was complaining to me that she can't even bring any meds because like it's just not possible because of the government laws and stuff. So when we came to Thailand, woo, there is a vet on every corner because there is a lot of expats, and like it's a whole type of business here, so it's good here. Yeah, so we have a vet. So go back to the boat questions. So question from Skeetamacgyver. I would much prefer chef drive rather than sail drives. Oh, that's a hot one. Safer, easier to maintain, and longer periods between haul-outs. Bare aluminum is very hot and very noisy. Should I read that one, or are they different?
They're different ones.
All right. So yeah, Shaft drive versus sail drives. I feel like that was one of the hot ones on under the last video.
That's a major hot button. A lot of questions, a lot of people with an opinion. I've had maybe 30 vessels, not counting oil rigs. The vessels have all had shaft drive. This catamaran we're on is the first catamaran that I had a sail drive, and we had to pull out the bladders and replace them and haul out the boat and do the sail drive maintenance and blah, blah, blah. This Tiger boat was designed with the SD60 sail drive, and it could have shaft drive, but I personally, now having had boats for 45 years, all having shaft drive and now having the sail drive, I am an advocate of the sail drive. And I am because of the way it's designed into the boat. Having packing and stuffing boxes and shaft seals and having driplices, letting salt water inside the boat is your most dangerous possibility in not seeing it. A catamaran with 2 shafts means 2 shaft drives, 2 packing boxes, 2 entry points. So the sail drive is an SD60, and I measured it. It's only sitting 2 feet below the hull. And the rudder is actually almost 4 feet below the hull. And the keels are 3 foot below the hull. So this boat, if we hit anything, it's going to hit a sacrificial keel first. It's going to drag along this keel, and then it may even hit the back rudder. But the boat can be hauled out on any sand, any beach, and you can do the servicing. You can change out a drive. But also the sail drive makes the engine compartment small. So now we have watertight bulkheads. So even if we were to rip off a sail drive, we will fill the engine room to the water level. It's not going to get inside the boat, and it's not going to sink the boat. Yeah, we're going to lose one engine. So overall, having a sail drive gives you more opportunity for power generation in the future and more opportunity for modification. And our engines are in the engine room. They're not underneath our bed. They're not in the middle of the boat. So everything that has to do with fuel, water, oil, and gas is all in one watertight bulkhead compartment, even the through hulls. The water wells. So anyway, yes, I can go on and on between sail drive and shaft drive. They're both holes in the water. And we've had we had our shaft packing blow out on us out 7 miles in the ocean, and we could not even spin. A catamaran with dual engines, dual access points gives you opportunity. But that's just the way the boat was built. If I was to design one again, I'd probably still go with sail drive, because you pop one out and you pop one in and you're on your way. And as long as you don't have to haul the boat out, it's no big deal. They're all over the place. They're rebuilt, kind of like having spare engines. So
yeah, the next one, California Kayaker. That this guy always writes us great comments, and hey, if you're here, we appreciate it. So, is it like the whole thing?
No, just the very last.
Was it your boat?
Yes.
Was it your boat that had the sea chest fixtures?
Yes.
I really like those, but they aren't really something you'd need for tropical sailing. They keep ice from damaging or plugging you through holes.
Right. So we don't have through hulls. And I said the boat doesn't have through hulls, and there's a hole behind me, and I got beat up for that. A through hull is a fitting that goes through the hull, tightens down, and has a valve on the backside. Everything on this boat, the fittings are welded, and then they go up through what's called a water chest above the water line, and then that's where something is connected. If it needs water along that sea chest, it's called, is where the connection is. And there are only 2 outlets midship for if we wanted to empty the holding tanks. And anything that brings water into the boat happens back by the engine room. Those are also 2 sea chests. And then any distribution of salt water comes from the sea chest. It means that if you're in a high latitude area and you get ice or water inside of a through hull and it freezes, it expands, and it's going to break your through hull, and your boat's going to go down. If it goes into a welded tube, and as long as that tube is above the water line, even if it was to freeze and crack, you have a chance, you will be able to fix that and wrap it from the inside. So it's a detail I'll go through later on. But yes, there are no through hulls in this boat. There are not fittings through it. It's all welded tubes that go above the waterline.
All right. Next, let's maybe read some comments, and then we're gonna go back to the thing.
Yes. 322 people.
Yay!
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year's coming soon.
And if you didn't know, we are dawn hunters, William and my wife Yana.
Yeah,
not my daughter, not my sister.
No, I'm a young destructive trophy wife.
Oh.
I'm saving that one, by the way. I think that's the best one. I cannot forget that.
How about trophy boat?
No. I'm a young destructive trophy wife. I think that's like the best I've accomplished in my life.
Maybe you get a
this
t-shirt.
Title.
Yes,
t-shirt. I'm gonna get a t-shirt. All right. So I'm about to build an aluminum catamaran and plan on sailing around the world with it. Rob, that's cool. Blair, can't fathom not having a pile house. Cold and wet was fine when I was 26. Exactly.
Yeah, I want to be warm and wet.
Stefan, where can I get a pendant you wear? Actually, both of them are designed by William, by yours dearly.
Yeah.
We're always trying to go and cast them in silver or gold, and
I have this one in.
We're busy.
I have the casting for this one. It can be made in silver or gold or platinum.
Who knows what it is?
The hook also we have.
Yeah.
That's another one of that side hobbies.
Yeah, that's one day. Yeah, one day we have a jewelry store that.
So hit us up. We'll hook you up with a pendant.
Yeah. Robson, adopt me. Okay. The guy that called me young destructive trophy wife has a good question. I always hear how boat maintenance is a pain. What kind of forward thinking can you do to make the boat super easy to maintain that a 61-year-old and a young destructive trophy wife can handle?
That's that's probably one of the best questions, is because
although you are a little bit out there, I'm just letting you know.
You better love to work on things, because boats are a maintenance nightmare. They require electrical background, plumbing background, hydraulics, pneumatics, diesel, you name it. But if you are a putzer, we used to call
What's that?
A putzer is a triple AAAD person, doesn't want to sit around much. There's always a list of shit to do on the boat. The number one is have access. Dawn Hunter was a great boat, the first one, but I had to crawl in an engine room and be a contortionist to get in the back just to be able to pump the diesel. A boat that has accessible engines, an engine room you can sit inside when you're working and doing the maintenance, will keep your boat better maintained, because you don't want to load that factor going there. Access to all your bilges, being able to pull up a floorboard and sit down there in the bilge and change a bilge pump or change something. So to me, one of the most important factors of a vessel for maintenance is access. If you can access it and you're not laying upside down by your ankles, you'll keep it maintained, because you'll sit down there, you'll pull the pump out and work on it. I hate when somebody takes a head on a boat and puts a head, which is a toilet, and jams it in the corner, where the only way you can get to the back motor is that if your face is right over the top of the bowl. Come on, guys, think about this. Put the motor on the side. So anyway, there are a lot of little details, but access would be my first thing looking at a boat. Can you get there? Right?
Yeah, I'm going to answer this question too, because I also think that's a great question. So, because he's saying forward thinking, and I always hear how boat maintenance is a pain. What kind of forward thinking can you do to make the boat super easy to maintain? Well, I think first of all, and that was one of the reasons why we also had to change the Dawn Hunter. Not that we had, but that was forward thinking. We changed to newer boat because it was just
it was
lot
killing
of work. It was killing him, and he had to be a mechanic. And I remember we had a conversation with William. I said, once we left the boatyard, I said, please teach me everything, how to maintain this boat, because I want, I might be not portraying that, but I love learning about new stuff, and I get very deep in stuff. So I was like, I'm going to learn about this boat. And he told me, you cannot. And I'm like, what do you mean I cannot? Like, of course I can. And he said, no, you can't. And that was a very serious conversation where I realized, like, no matter what I do, I will never be able to maintain this boat or help him to maintain this boat, because he said you need to be an engineer to maintain this boat. And so we knew at that point that only William, right, can do anything on this boat. And then also, if something happens with William, like sickness, for example, we even cannot have a captain to help us move this boat, because that boat was so specific. So that's why, partially, but it was a big part why we changed this
To a more
to a different boat.
like this catamaran. You can go to any marine store and find a bilge pump. You can go to any marine store and find a fuel filter. You can even go to the used parts store and find stuff for a production catamaran.
Right. Right.
They are not difficult to maintain. You take a pump out, you put a pump in. The other boat we had, you had to find a custom built pump, or you had to have that rebuilt because it was the only one that would fit there. So production catamarans really change, and production boats change your maintenance requirement.
Yeah.
And you can look at a manual. You can join a Facebook group. How many people on Facebook group have a 68-ton steel boat? Nobody. But join the catamaran, all kinds of people. So, yeah, forward thinking. Find yourself a boat, especially if you're new to boating or you're older. Find a production boat, because you can get a manual. You can read how to change something, or you can ask a question. So that's very important. And that's why this aluminum Expedition Cat, it is a custom built. There is only one like this in the world, but we bought the boat for the shell. We bought it for the hull and the sails and the sail plan and the design. And then we're putting some things inside that are forward thinking, where we're not going to rely on just the battery or just the solar power. So excellent question.
Yeah, great question. Not so great calling. I'm joking. I see a lot of people want a t-shirt for their wife like that. All right. Have we met the doggy yet? Oh, that was from Rob. Yeah, we answered that one. I may have missed it, but what's the weight and bridge deck clearance like, from Samantha Hancock's?
All right. A lot of questions on that also. I need to clarify. The boat is 14 tons. I said 18 because fully loaded cruising is 18 ton. That means 460 liters of fuel on each side. 480 liters of fuel on each side, 480 liters of water on each side, all the gear, everything all added, it brings it up to 18 ton. For regattas and sailing and racing, you drop the chain, you take all the shit off the boat, and it's 14 ton. So 14 ton is actually the boat vessel weight. The bridge deck clearance is very important. On the Tiger, the bridge deck clearance, and I had to go measuring this morning, is 980. And on the Saba, it's 570. This boat has an extremely high bridge deck clearance, which means when you're hitting the waves and you're hitting rough seas, you have that much more. You actually have an extra 1.5 feet of freeboard above the water line. Another thing that's important is that on the Saba, we have, our hulls are 7 foot 8 inches wide. They're a dance hull. On the Tiger, they're 4 foot 7 inches wide. So this has two extremely narrow hulls designed like a gunboat. It wasn't designed by gunboat. It's designed like a gunboat because narrow, skinny hulls, high freeboard, wide beam, and an 8-meter long boom with an 80-foot mast. This boat has a huge sail plan to ratio of water. So to answer those multiple questions out there is, yes, the boat has done over 24 knots surfing down waves in 50-foot, because
people get so upset about like the speeds. And if you say like it sailed like that, yeah, it did. Like it did sail like that. I don't know why people get so upset about.
I think purists, it's
so what? Like personally, like, who even cares how much it sailed? Like, okay, 25 knots, or it did 15, or it did 8. Who the fuck cares? I'm sorry, but like people like got super upset in the comments, being like sarcastic and like saying like, oh yeah, sure it did. Like, yeah, it did. And
sailing is an art and a science. and I won't go into the sale plan and all the details, but effectively, the boat has these statistics. It's not on some computer model. It has done this. It has done this multiple times. And guess what? And now it just did 6,000 miles and it's in Thailand. Is that an experiment? You know, how long did it take them? 25 days on one engine. So the boat sails. You know, I'm not going anywhere fast. I don't want to be in any regattas or races. It's kind of like the Ducati and the Harley. I gave up the Ducatis and became Harley.
Yeah. Somebody just said 24 knots is fast as fuck. Exactly. And I don't need to see this 24 knots.
No.
Because that means that it's also the wind speed and the waves. Like, I don't want to see that. Like, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah,
but
we're not lifting a hull out of the water.
Yeah, but can the boat do it? Yes, because it did it. So
and multiple times. It's won multiple regattas. But again, you've got to have a skilled crew on board. You've got to have 10 people managing everything. There's the two of us. Oh, and a dog. So anyway, great question.
Yep. So let's maybe do a couple of here. Right. Thank you for GC Gibble for the super chat. Thank you. If you have any question, let us know. We'll answer, like, type it and we'll answer that. Are you going to keep the engine that are in there by Mark? The people just saying it's good design.
So I answer the question, or you're gonna?
And somebody's saying boat yoga kills for real. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can answer that.
The engines are 55 horse, naturally aspirated Yanmars. One engine actually pulled water in because it blew a starter. So for 11 days, they sailed and ran the boat on one engine to get here. I'm going to have the top end of both engines pulled and have those rebuilt. The engines have over 4,000 hours, so may end up doing some changes there. Too early to tell just yet. But I will stick with Yanmar. I looked at other options.
He did.
You can get a Yanmar part at even a tractor store. So that's the other thing that's important is I don't want to be experimenting on the power drive systems.
And actually, kind of segue into that, we'll get back to this one. Where by Kinitoliker or Kinitoliker. Very nice. I wonder why you didn't use electric motors instead of diesel.
Yeah, it's again, we bought this boat already built. It was built in 2014, splash 2015. So we got the boat the way it is. We are looking at modifying some of these locations. And in the up and coming months, you're going to see what we're going to do and why we're going to do it based on our experience.
Yeah. Speaking of those, I got the boat. I was living it for 7 years. I know what I need.
Right. Right.
So hopefully that's gonna. Scott, hello from the crew of the Genalu 2. You dockmates at the Marina Del Mar in Key Largo. Continued safe travels. Hey guys, that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you guys. So, wondering how the design handles lightning strikes by Andrea.
You know, as an electrical engineer and actually upgrading offshore oil rigs, electrical strikes on an oil rig can cause a big problem. You know, lightning rods, where you put things, the height, etc. The boat is all aluminum. The mast comes down to a 40 millimeter by 400 millimeter by 400 millimeter square box that connects the two pontoons together. So the mast is connected to a large mass of aluminum, which then is connected to the water. Lightning takes the least path of resistance if anybody could actually control lightning. So if the boat does get struck by lightning, the least path is going to be going through the hull to the water. What it takes along the way is another question. But the flooring is non-metal. The insulation is non-metal. The side decks and everything are on non-metal. So 90% of your life, you're not standing there on the metal and you're not touching metal in a lightning storm. So having experience of a metal boat being hit by lightning multiple times, passenger ships, cruise ships, cargo ships, they're hit by lightning constantly. Because they're metal, it goes directly into the water. If you have a fiberglass non-metal boat, you better have extremely large grounding straps because the mast is sitting on an insulated structure. So the lightning has to jump from the mast to ground, or in this case, the water. So I won't go into detail, but I feel far more confident being on a metal or aluminum boat in lightning than I would a non-metal boat.
Stephen Pendleton feels sorry for me. Because you actually, it's surprising why you feel sorry for me, because usually everyone feels sorry for William on our channel. Let me know why do you feel sorry for me. Carl, lightning is great, it will make your hair and lost teeth grow back. That's
Great.
cool.
I'm gonna climb the mast.
What kind of watches do you both wear? We actually have Garmin. Both of us.
Garmin Tactics.
And I have a Sapphire. Fenix Sapphire. Yeah.
You know, because it tells us if our heart's beating. It also has a light.
Yeah, William uses all the time while he's in the bedroom, because he's always like a late night owl, so he doesn't turn the light on.
The Garmin watches are the best. We have had Garmin watches for a long time. They live through all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
You swim with them, you wash them. The battery lasts for what, a month?
Yeah, it's like 20
you
days
forgot
plus.
about charging it. So yeah, I'm an advocate of, and also the Garmin watch talks to the instruments, and you can like autopilot if you want.
Still almost 300 people watching after an hour of this ramble, so thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. I see yes,
in the middle, we are talking about our new exploration cat that we purchased in South Africa. It is a 53-foot long boat, and it came from South Africa to Thailand. We did not bring the boat. Our captain and crew brought the boat because we looked at all of the scenarios, and we wanted to get back here and get this boat ready for sale and get the items ready so when the boat arrived, we could put it on the hard. We also weren't overly keen on our sailing abilities, and we decided, being grown-ups and being adult, that why should we do something and put things at risk, ourselves, the boat, etc. So there's a bunch of reasons why we utilized the crew. It was amazing. They got here in 25 days. Hats off to those guys. They did a phenomenal, guys and one woman, they did a phenomenal job in the delivery, got her here safe on one engine. And so we're talking about why aluminum.
Yeah.
The best beer can is aluminum.
Comments. I am a little checked out. Sorry.
What? Are you here?
Yeah. So all good stuff. People asking, people saying about turbo that better not to have it.
We changed 17 turbos in 19 boats.
Something about air conditioners. I don't know what that is. And people kind of asking also, like, if we are planning to sail to New Zealand, Europe, and somebody else asked about down south through Drake Passage. I have no idea what that is. And stuff like that.
Our traveling plans, we've thrown out the window. We've decided that where we go, when we go, there are some days that we look outside and say, you know what, let's go for a week at anchor. And we leave. We leave within an hour. So, the bottom line is that we are not a family that plans and sticks with it. We even make a reservation at a restaurant a week later. We call up the day before and say, we changed our mind. We're not going to come to the restaurant.
Yeah,
we're not planners.
Call 1 hour before.
And sometimes we'll look around and say, hey, let's put all the stuff inside. Let's go out for the next 2 weeks on anchor. We're not planners. And so where we go now is not so concerning having the aluminum expedition vessel. It gives us more opportunity to go places safer. So.
Yeah. And by the way, Chris writes the most amazing comments. I think she is a patron now too. She's asking, tell us how you zap unwanted guests who don't belong on your boat. Well, we haven't had to zap many guests, honestly. Thanks God.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. We used to worry about pirates and strangers coming on board. Well, now we're secure because we have a guard dog that weighs a whole 3 kilos. This is our guard dog. And if you want to see something, wait, you do it.
You do it. Like we skipped. You do it.
Ready?
There's his mouth.
Look at this.
Look, full of teeth. Full of teeth.
So this is our guard dog, our warning. He'll bark if someone comes near, and then we decide what we're going to zap somebody
And
with.
he will also bark if the other boat in the marina is just moving, and he just, yeah. So I'm like, there is nothing there. What are you barking?
So yeah, we can always throw him at somebody and run.
And sometimes somebody comes to deliver something on the boat and he doesn't bark. I'm like, hello, are you gonna bark? Anyway,
He barks when he wants.
Yeah, so great question, Chris. So going back to this this one, I see you have a Starlink. Does it work in Thailand? By Tekin 139.
Starlink, we traveled with it in our baggage to South Africa. We were on a campground and we put it on the ground and we had internet. We put the Starlink on the boat, so the 6,000-mile passage had Starlink all the way here, tracking their location, sending text, trying to troubleshoot the bad motor, some other things that happened on the way. We have Starlink here now for almost 2 years. I don't know the legalities of it. I don't think it can be purchased yet, but we are here as travelers and we are on a boat. We're actually moving from place to place. So Starlink does work so far wherever we've been. But we also have the international global plan. Yes, it's expensive. I'm still working. I still have to do engineering drawings and prints and designs. I can't be running around looking for data to send an AutoCAD drawing or modify it. So it's working here.
Next question.
Yeah.
Given the width of your boat, can all Marines accommodate your boat?
Marinas, yeah.
Oh, I'm like, Marines? Like, is it like a bunch of guys?
You know, her coffee's gone. Mine's half gone.
Oh my God, guys, I have to tell you that story. It's so funny. Yesterday, we were driving in the car and we had 2 coffees. And William always drinks sweet and I drink unsweet. And so I left somewhere with my coffee. And I was I was in the salon and I was there for like 30 minutes. I come back, and as I'm coming back, William is leaving the car. I sit in the car and I see coffee. So I grab a nice cappuccino. So I grab it and I taste it. I'm like, like it's a little sweet. I'm like, well, I guess the ice melted in my cappuccino. So, and they use condensed milk here. So I guess it's a little sweet. So I drink it. I'm like, yeah, it's a little strange, but I put it down. And I'm like, okay, there's only one coffee. That means that William took his coffee with him as he was walking out of the car because he finished it. So I'm drinking this coffee and he comes back. We start riding and he's like, and I finish it, you know. He's like, he takes it out. He's like, why did you drink my coffee? I'm like, I said, no, it's mine. He's like, no, you left with yours when you went to the salon. And I'm like, what? And this finally starts, I'm starting to realize why it tasted a little sweet.
Yeah, but you know,
I was laughing so hard, like this is his life, because I'm like, this is scary, like how I forgot that I took the coffee. It was just like so funny. So yeah, that was a funny story. 300 people heard a funny story.
Well, your funny story.
My funny story. So the Marines.
Okay.
Back to the Marines that are not Marines, but Marinas.
You know, growing up and living and boating in the United States, marinas were all about what you did with your boat. They were expensive. They were hard to find. You had to make reservations. It was a nightmare, constantly having to worry about what slip you could go into and whether or not it was available, etc. When you're in Thailand, there's places to anchor wherever you go. The marina is not your priority. The marina is a nice place to go, but because there are so many catamarans in Thailand, all of the marinas are designed for more catamarans than non-catamarans. But what I've decided and why the 53-foot boat is not an issue and why having a huge beam is not an issue is the marinas are not an issue. You don't go to marinas.
And they don't charge.
They don't
here like in the US, right?
Yeah.
They charge twice because it's like two hulls. Here they don't do that.
They don't do that. There's always room because there are so many places to anchor. But you know, you can anchor outside of any marina, bring your dinghy in, and still have the anemones. So marina is no longer a consideration. I don't want to go boating where marina controls my life. I may as well just buy a motorhome.
Yeah, and also I don't know. Probably, of course, not everybody watches all our episodes, but we mentioned that here in Thailand there are only where we are at this area and what's accessible sort of to us. There are only two marinas in the close by location, and there are none like around Phuket area. There are only two marinas. Well, I'm saying two marinas. Like there are all kinds of them in Phuket, and then there is two of them in Krabi, and that's it. Like this whole area of Thailand, there is nothing else. So there are no marinas in the islands, so nothing like that. So you can fuel only in those two places, and then also water or anything like that.
So anchorage and off-grid living is a requirement when you leave the beautiful amenities of even the Caribbean. Or sorry, when we were in the Bahamas, you're not in marinas in the Bahamas either. You're out at anchor somewhere, and you're taking your dinghy for water. You're taking your dinghy for fuel. Suddenly, fuel consumption becomes important because it's not because it's expensive. It's you just can't get it. You have to start running somewhere. Water maker, extremely important. You run out of water, yeah, you got to go find water somewhere. So your change of where you are with your boating lifestyle, and you build a boat for the States and you leave, and suddenly you're in shock because what you thought was around you isn't around you.
Okay, we're gonna answer this one about there was somebody saying about e-propulsion motors, like if you like them or something. Like, what do you think about e-propulsion motors? I can't find it, but somebody asked that.
We've had e-propulsion now for almost 6 years.
Yeah, it was never meant to be our main motor.
No, they gave us they gave us one temporarily to kind of review, and you know what? We use the e-propulsion motor more than anything on our dinghies. It's always the fail-safe. Something doesn't work, outboard's not working, something's wrong, we go to e-propulsion. So we went to e-propulsion dinghy, all electric, no gas. And we have a little bathtub dinghy with the little e-propulsion. So e-propulsion has been phenomenal.
Yeah, we love it. And so we had the smaller e-propulsion, right, on our dinghy that's been with us a long time, and we changed it only because we couldn't ship it from Bahamas.
Right.
So that one was phenomenal. And then we had the the bigger one on our aluminum electric dinghy, which we have no questions, right?
No,
it was great.
But you know,
great.
Forget about planing, forget about going fast.
Right.
But you know, same with our boating. We're not interested in going fast. It's why we burned a turbo out, because it wasn't moving and it wasn't being used, and it seized. So when we're going on the dinghy, we have all the time in the world. We're not racing to the marina and then racing back again. It's so the electric lets you see more water life. It lets you get into quiet places where the monkeys don't know you're even there. There's certain advantages to electric that outweigh the speed and the distance, I guess.
And also, are there a lot of catamarans just like yours right now? From Mark.
This is the only 53 AC 53 that was built. There is a 51. There's a 47, and now there's a 68 being built. But this catamaran design is being looked at to go into what I call semi-production, which means if you hit us up, you'll be able to actually order this one and have it built by the same factory that built this one. And you won't be actually wondering what it sails like, wondering what it looks like, because you're going to watch it on this channel.
And Nigel, I think you need a good generator with e-propulsion motors. Those poor couple that ended up on a Sailboat island, I would want a good backup. I don't know about this. You know who somebody ended up on an island? We ended up on an island with a diesel. So not diesel, with a gas engine. That was not fun. But
Oh,
why do you need a generator with a propulsion motor?
oh,
What do they mean?
they're not talking about e-propulsion. They're talking about electric
Oh,
propulsion,
electric propulsion. Okay,
like Marines.
so keep that one, and then there is another one, so you can answer them together. Um, somebody, the larger Tesla size and power hasn't reached the market full yet, but actual design motor will succeed. Look at the Candela boat concept.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and there was something else. Oh, here. So you're not into parallel electric diesel hybrid. So you can answer all those
All right.
together.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go deep into the upgrades because I have gone deep into the upgrades personally since putting solar on oil rigs. I am 1,000% into parallel hybrid. I am an advocate of parallel hybrid. And if you look at the way that the bus and the automotive industry and things have gone, yes, you have the Teslas of the world, but in boating, your density of diesel fuel is still your highest output to date. But parallel, which means you have a choice between diesel engine, electric regeneration, electric power, electric propulsion, combination thereof, and now add that to a catamaran where you have it times two. To me, that is the phenomenal. So to answer that question, we bought an aluminum vessel that was already built so we could spend some time and experimenting on the propulsion system, the electrical system. And now guess what? If I have a hybrid system on port and starboard, Yana can have all the air conditioning she wants because let the water and the wind and the sun do the work. So yeah, I'm 100% advocate on that. As electrical and electronics engineer, I am constantly finding ways to utilize the sun and the water and the wind. It's just a hobby.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that in the future it's going to be what's coming around the corner.
Matching tattoos in the work. No tattoos for
Okay,
us. No, I'm done with tattoos, and William doesn't have any. Next one, Dean Cruz. Fiberglass would be structurally compromised in big seas. Question.
All right. When you're in South Africa, and we put oil rigs on in Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, and Nigeria, and I saw 20-foot swells and 20-foot waves. Being in Durban, South Africa, and seeing these fronts come in within 4 hours, the wind is blowing like 60 knots, and you will see waves like you never imagined in your life. I mean, 40-foot waves coming through the Mozambique Channel. This boat has been in those multiple times. You cannot take a fiberglass boat and submit it to 5 days of pounding 20-foot waves. It's going to structurally change that boat. And a hurricane is a good example. A hurricane throws a catamaran upside down. The bulkheads have to be repaired. Things have to be done to it. I'm not saying that any boat is invincible. The Titanic sunk. But the reality of it is that I would not take a fiberglass boat in certain latitudes, knowing the seas and the storm state. And being in 2 hurricanes with our steel boat, we saw fiberglass boats sink. We saw them hit other boats and smash to pieces. We saw a 70-foot Hatteras break loose and hit 5 other boats along the anchorage. Our steel boat survived all of it. So the reality of it is that I'm an advocate of non-fiberglass only because of the way that I want to sleep at night of the boat.
Yeah, there are millions of fiberglass boats, and they're fine.
And they're great. But
yeah.
So to answer the question, you have to be careful. You cannot take a fiberglass boat where it's extremely cold and where you have waves and wind, because fiberglass becomes brittle. And that's why the majority of fiberglass boats are in the tropics.
Yeah, and even in the tropics, you have to be careful because you can freaking make a hole, like
hit a bomb.
Yeah, the boat here was just hit the ground and made a
they just
huge freaking hole.
At least 3 boats a month they're hauling on the hard because they hit a small rock or they hit a bomby, it poked a hole in the hull, one half of it sunk, and they drag it up. Our boat has hit 2 cement docks and has hit 2 rocks, and it's got dents to show it, but it didn't sink. So that's a testament to being what we have.
Can you run a diesel engine on a fish blubber or coconut oil for that island survival situation?
Solar
Speaking of solar,
and wind.
for some Mary Crin, 4,000 of solar. Hmm.
You know, when I did the video, it was pretty quick. I didn't go into detail and elaborate. But what's interesting is that we have the most views on our boat tours. I
Yeah.
mean, and so we have the most comments on our boat tours. And we had, for the voyage over in Africa, I bought the 610 watt bifacial solar panels. And we connected 7 of those bifacials for the voyage because we had a problem with the lithium batteries going dead. And I wanted to make sure that we had a backup plan. So I bought 2 AGM batteries, put the solar in the lithium. So we had 610 watt bifacials, 7 panels. That's 4,270 watts. The real output on a daily average is around 3,500 watt. But the engine without generator, the engine has an extra alternator, a second alternator on port and starboard engine. One engine died. So the boat made it all this way with one engine, a second alternator for charging battery at nighttime, and the solar to charge in the daytime battery. And here it is. So yes, there was over 4,000 watts of solar.
Yeah, and Jeff Tech asking, I saw a bolt-on system at a trade show that goes on a Yamaha engine that allows you to do electric propulsion and regen. Can't remember the name. It was on Sailing Uma channel.
Yes, there are several now additions. And that's why I said we're going to go more in depth. If you continue watching us, we're going to have some of this information. Patreon, I'm putting pictures constantly. When I pick up 200 amp alternators and I show them next to the regular alternator, I take a photo of it and post things. So if you check us out on Patreon, you're going to see live kind of what we're doing. But there are hybrid modifications now to motors that allow you to choose, pick, and change. And that is what I've been researching all the way before we got this catamaran, because I wanted to have the engine-based space to do some playing, and now I have it.
Have you seen the new sodium-ion batteries on the market by Camplants? You guys have very difficult nicknames, by the way, like Camplants Filedere. Probably not right. So have you seen new sodium-ion batteries? No. Okay.
No, I have been continually researching the LF 304 lithium battery family and the BMSs and the safety, because there are new things that come out. But to date, lithium has been on 5 of our boats. I've had lithium now for going on about 7.5 years. It's why I do not put lithium inside of a boat. I put lithium outside. So if there would be some type of an issue, even on our aluminum boat, it could burn, it could melt, fall through and drop in the ocean. It's not going to sink us. So the first thing I did when we got to Durban is I pulled the lithium out of the inside of the boat. I did see here, right there.
About torpedo motors?
Well, he's got Tortigo
For
on.
the feedback about the electric motors, because thank you. I do have 10 kilowatt times 2 torpedo motors on my 15-meter prototype cat.
You've got an excellent system. Keep in touch. Send us some PMs, because I want to share, and I would like you to share your experimenting, because I know electric is on the brink of joining and entering into the market. There's a Sunsail 60 coming here that's all electric. It just left the factory, I guess, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's a lot of boats that have been electric, even in Amsterdam, Holland, Sweden, canal boats. So having lived on these boats for 7 years, I'm not an advocate of all electric yet, only because I think it's still evolving. But I want to be part of the evolving generation, and that's why we're going to do some things to this vessel.
Yeah, and DJ Petro saying Williams power propulsion mods and tests are going to be awesome. I hope they're going to be awesome because William, oh my God, like I'm actually like a little concerned about all of this, because what James said, there is a sailor and a nailer. This guy is a nailer. Like, don't let him like. The more he gonna research, the more he gonna do all kinds of things. I don't know about this.
You know, guys, in honesty, I'm pissed because about 2 weeks ago, I've been looking at every opportunity and every option in the market. I designed servo systems for robotics. I maybe have 6,000 servos around the globe. And I came out with the unique idea. And I said to Jan, I said, here's my idea. Here's what I'm going to market. I'm going to market a retrofit kit that you can add hybrid to any sail drive and any motor out there for all these catamarans. And I had the drawings, I had the design, I started doing the calculations, everything. And you know what? I found it. Well, hats off to you because I've been watching him and where the design came from. But somebody they already did it. You know, every time I'm coming up with a neat idea today, effing Google, I wish I didn't have internet because I would think that I came up with the design. So there are options out there. I wish I would have gone to Mets. And yes, there will be some neat things coming around the corner that keep this lady cool and air conditioned.
Yeah. So let's keep going. 327 people watching. Hello, guys. Hit the like button if you can.
Merry Christmas, early Happy New Year.
Say hello in the chat. We are going back and forth, answering some comment section questions from the last boat tour and going back to the chat. So,
and we are live from Thailand.
Yes, we are.
That's why it's light outside. This is live because all of you guys, I guess, had nothing to do tonight. So you're sitting and watching us in the living room with it.
Is the top part fiberglass?
All right.
From Tighter.
The complete boat is aluminum. The keels are 10 millimeter, all the way from the keels, which are breakaway, sacrificial keels, all the way up to the side hull is 6.5 millimeter. The upper hull is 10 millimeter attached to 6.5 millimeter. And then everything on the deck and above is 4.5 millimeter aluminum. Every 12 inches, there is an I-beam crossing from between port and starboard, and every 12 inches there is a rib with a center rib. And I did post the drawing on Patreon, which was the 51. This is a 53. The person that had this built for him custom owns Sparcraft Masts in South Africa. So all of the latest sailing gear, the rigging, it has an 8-meter boom. It has all the racing gear, 24-volt Genoa, and a stationary staysail. So when you're in storms and wind, the staysail stays out, which is why when I said the boat will move at 24 knot, it can be controlled 24 knot in heavy winds.
And speaking of sails and speed, sailing Lila Wadi. That sounds very familiar. 25 knots with an expedition cat with minimum 18-ton weight. Are you joking?
Right. We covered this earlier. I'm going to cover it quickly again. Was not joking. I joke about things, but when it comes to technical details, go ahead and challenge me. And I would
go ahead and challenge me.
I would love to reply to your questions and tags.
And you know, the difference between two of us, like I get pissed off on bad comments. I'm like, why these people are so rude? Like, it's okay to disagree, like, but this was
nice.
Yeah, do it nice. Like, okay, this wasn't a bad comment at all. Like, are you joking? A little condescending, but not too bad. But he's like, oh, I'm going to answer it. he gets excited about bad comments. I'm like, why to be so rude?
You know, for excitement, I hit the held for review comments.
Oh my God.
And then I read them.
And your young destructive trophy wife is like, how you call it? It's flowers, not the fruits.
No,
it's
that's
nothing.
So to me, it's, you know, I've been challenged all my life as an engineer. I kind of laugh at the questions that are, you know, not very, I guess, based on fact. The ones that are somewhat based on fact, I figure what I'll do is I'll give an answer because maybe that person believes that aluminum is noisy. Well, insulate it. It's hot. Insulate it. The boat is 14-ton empty. It has won many regattas in South Africa, sailing at over 20 knots. Does it always want to sail at 24 knots? Can it always sail? Winds, conditions, surfing down a wave? I'm not here to be a fact-based AI robot. I'm here to say, here's what I know about the vessel. Take it or leave it. But if you do want to have educational, I guess, responses, by all means, send the questions in the comments. I'm happy. So I wasn't joking.
All right, so let's go to the quickly. Captain, you will do 8 knots easily on this beautiful catamaran.
To answer that question, we were in 18 knots of wind. The catamaran was doing 15 knots. And we were not, all the sails weren't out. We had the main out, we had the Genoa. We did put the staysail out, so we had all three at that wind. But you can also throw up the code 0. You can sail pretty heavy on this vessel, which is why you need at least 14 to 17 tons to keep it in the water. Yes, a gunboat, you can be up on one side. La Vagabond with a trimaran, you can really sail fast by having 2 hulls in the water in the center. The boat was not designed for only speed. It was designed for safety. It's not going to blow over and upside down in high winds.
Hopefully not.
And if it does, we have an escape hatch. So, yeah, I mean, 15 knots sailing to me is fast. I don't want to go faster than that.
What do you think of newcomer? You're going to be able to outrun some bad weather on the radar horizon, so you can find safe harbor. What do you think about like outrunning the storms overall?
You know, when I first started boating, I would laugh at that. But what I've realized is that there's a lot of truth to that. If you can kick in both of your 55 horse engines, and with or without the wind, this boat has no problem motoring along at 11 knots. It's super fast with the hulls and the sail drive. 11 knots, guys, with 55 horse on each side. Yes, now add wind, you can be sailing at 15 knots. You have enough time to divert where the storm front is coming from. Now, bringing the boat from Dar es Salaam to Seychelles, Maldives, Indonesia, Thailand, we were constantly navigating and getting just on the north side of each one of those storms barreling through and hitting what's called kickers. So you're actually using the wind to push you ahead by the storm being to the south side of you. So yes, you can outrun a storm given long distances and watching your weather patterns. And you also can go near the storm to take the advantage of the wind. So I agree. Having a vessel that can move along faster than 7 knots can be an advantage if you're looking at nasty weather.
And so how does she do in light wind? And somebody else, good question, will it move in 5 knots of wind?
We were at about 6 knots of wind when we did the first sea trial. We put up the Genoa and we put up the staysail and we put up the main. And in 5 knots of wind, we were doing about 3.5, 4 knots. Now, kick in one motor at 1,500 RPM with 5 knots of wind. You're now motor sailing, but you're only 1,500 RPM. And now you're moving along at 7 knot. So the boat with the narrow hulls and the extremely large sail plan is a fast boat. But the weight keeps her in the water. What's important is the weight location. The water tanks and the fuel tanks are in and below the floorboards, are in the bilge. They're not in the keel because the keel can break away. So your heavy fuel and water and your engines are at and below waterline. So now your boat is actually stuck to the water as opposed to being above the waterline.
Brian, will you have a video of yourself from South Africa? Yeah, that's actually going to be next Saturday video. We have interviewed our captain who brought the boat with the crew, and William going to add some comments to it, and we're going to talk about that. Why, what happened, what breaks were there, and stuff like that. So look for it next Saturday. Another one that hit the nerves. The nerve, not the nerves. No through hulls at all. Do I need an eye check or do I see a through hole?
Uh, I covered it earlier. I'll cover it again. The boat has what's called seawater chests. There are actually tubes that are welded to the hull, reinforced at actually 20 millimeter in these locations. The tube comes above the water line with a cap. So you can uncap it and you can unplug your tube if it was to have ice or dirt or some animal growing in there. And then off the side of those tubes, there are two taps with a valve for shut off. So you have the ability to bring water in the vessel only in the watertight compartments, which are the engine rooms. Same in the engine room, the bearings for the rudder are above the water line, and the rudder is connected at the frame, below the water line, and above the water line in a complete welded sealed tube. So even if you were to smash your rudder into something, the bottom of the rudder is going to break off. It's sacrificial. You're going to have a 4-inch piece of steel still sitting above the water line in the tube. So the boat, other than sail drive, yes, I would love to have a skeg hung rudder like Delos, but then I would have to have shafts, and I'm not a shaft guy. I've had too many shaft issues, too many years with too many boats. So the sail drive is not perfect. The shaft drive isn't perfect. Maybe some electrical things coming out could be perfect. Anyway, there we go.
And actually, somebody also asked about dagger boards. Do you have dagger boards if they break off?
Okay. This boat was not designed with dagger boards. It was designed with breakaway keels. And the reason for that is the boat was designed to be able to go up on an island, let the tide go out and sit on an island, drop the front ladder down and go out into the island. If you want to clean the bottom, change an anode, change something in the sail drive. So the boat was designed to sit on the keels and the rudders, and it does not have dagger board. If it was speed only, definitely, as you all know, dagger board would be much better. But this boat was a compromise partially between speed, durability, and because in South Africa, there aren't many yards that can haul out a boat. It takes renting a crane. So having a boat that can go up on the hard, let the water go down and work on it means you can spend any weekend you want working on the bottom of the boat. So there you have it between
Carl, do you think winged kills are a good idea for extra performance, or winged? I don't know.
winged keel.
Yeah, winged kills. Do you think winged kills are a good idea for extra performance?
You know, I won't go into naval designs, architectural design. It's when it comes to a marine design, it's not about an item. It's about the complete package. It's about sail plan. It's about water wetted surface line. It's about the beam. It's about the weight, the CG, center of gravity. All of those things come into play. On an offshore oil rig with a bottom flotation, that rig was only able to go to 3 knots, but it could be in 20-foot swell. So when someone asks me about a specific item, it's how is the item incorporated as the whole boat design. And a good naval architect and a good designer with a track record puts the right things on the boat for a compromise of safety, cost, durability, maintenance. All of those items come into play. So what interested us, we stepped in this boat, it was done. It could sail and it could move. We didn't have to wait 3-4 years to build it. And now we could spend our time doing some modifications, which was why, do you want to build a new house or do you want to renovate an old house? Comes up to the two people.
Next, and one of the last questions from the comment section. What a fantastic exploration boat. How on earth did you find this awesome boat? New nav on the menu.
Very interesting is that we were looking at this boat for almost a year and a half, for quite a very long time. But the photos didn't do the boat justice at all. It showed a bunch of guys hanging out, drinking beer and fishing. It showed shit all over the boat. It was not a listing that would even make somebody think about flying.
Yeah, it was
Africa.
like phone pictures, sort of, and they really looked like you didn't know what's presented there. Oh, it was so unclear.
And even the dates of the pictures were 2015 on a listing of 2024. Like, okay, this is a scam. Someone just wants a deposit. All of those things went through our head. And yet, being dawn hunters as we are, we packed our shit up and we flew to Africa, and we walk in the end of this dock and we see this boat. We take our shoes off, and the guy says, "Oh, don't take your shoes off. It doesn't matter here." Our little feet got on the deck and said metal again. We both really had a lot of good experiences and bad experiences on our steel boat. We looked at the boat, and the boat did not look at all like the pictures. The boat was much better than the pictures. It needed a lot of help because the electrical, a lot of things that were not updated, which is I wanted to do anyway. So to me, let's get the boat with a good hull, and now let me start doing my plane.
Yeah, and also like the fact that it was Spartan, right? And the fact that it didn't have a lot of things is actually good, because then we didn't have to do a refit. We just had to add, right?
Exactly. And it's, you know, we're in a beautiful boat right now, but we close all the curtains because we don't want the fabric to get sun faded. We make sure that we close every cabinet door. We don't want the laminate to get hurt. We tiptoe on this boat, and coming from a steel boat, we didn't tiptoe. We were smashing conch shells on the deck, laughing, and that's where we so
Yeah.
that's how we grew up boating, is being, I guess, living and loving the boat and living on it and not tiptoeing on it. This boat, we put on rubber slippers and we sneak around, and we have to vacuum it constantly.
Yeah.
So stepping onto this aluminum boat was more our style. It's more Spartan. It's more rough, tough. It's like our dinghy. Our dinghy.
And speaking of, Mark, what kind of dinghy do you have, and are you going to get a new one? Don't ask us about dinghy. Yeah.
Here's what we found out about having a catamaran that is designed for speed.
Yeah.
Weight is a very significant factor in this boat. Saba having 8-foot wide pontoons, our Tiger boat, the new one, has 4-foot wide pontoons. So we have to be very cognizant of how much weight we put on it and where we put the weight. So if we're going to add solar in the back and wind generators, we can't have the same big ass dinghy. If we're going to put lithium in the front, we can't have a 12 millimeter chain. We have to go to 10. My coffee or coffee?
I think he still has some left.
It's the secret of being happily married. Let your wife take whatever's yours and give it back when she breaks it. So yes, weight is an extreme factor. On the Saba, weight was not an issue at all. We just kept loading shit on this boat, and it just kept going normal. So we probably are going to have a dinghy for sale, the aluminum one, and we're going to have to come up with some lighter version, or we're going to cut our dinghy in half, take 4 foot out of the middle.
It's really sad. I really like that dinghy. I think it was a great dinghy. Maybe touch bit too big, like not too big, but like a little too, how you call it, clunky. But it really was perfect for our lifestyle, because we didn't have to worry about that one bit, and we put that dinghy through multiple tests. Like, it's been like jumping on rocks and under the freaking bridge, smashing there for like 2 hours while we were not there. I mean, it was great for us because we finally could go ashore and didn't have to worry about that one bit. We loved it. It was great. So our preference would be, again, to have aluminum dinghy, or try to have it, maybe something smaller, but again, the weight is a high concern. So we are now in the market to be thinking about something. Yeah.
The other thing that we've learned, being and living aboard for 7 years, is when you take your dinghy ashore, the safest is to drag it up away from the water, so the tides don't get it, the waves aren't going to get it. It's not going to possibly be gone when you're back. And then sometimes the tide goes out and you come back. You have to have a dinghy that the two of you can move, that you can slide on the sand. or slide on the rocks.
Yeah, otherwise, if that's not an option, then you have to. So here in Thailand, for example, there are like this on each island. They have a swimming area, like how is it called? Gated, not gated, like
They have the buoys where you
yeah,
can't go with a boat.
right. So you can attach your dinghy to the buoys, right? And then so you attach them to the buoys, and then if it's too far, right, because you know that the tide is going out, and you know you're going to be for a couple of hours ashore, you attach it far. Guess what? That means one person has to swim far, like far. It can be what? How many meters? How many feet?
Oh, it can be 200 or 300 meters
Yeah,
away.
easy. So, or you have to kind of be coming back and moving the dinghy further and further as
Of
an
which you
option,
forget.
of which you forget, and then you end up on the shore, and then our aluminum dinghy we cannot move. So it was a, how you say it? It's hello. It was a sacrifice that we were willing to take because we really loved that dinghy. So it wasn't like a big no for us, right?
It wasn't, but what
But
I've,
now we have a dog, so somebody has to take the dog, or swim with the dog is not an option. It's like the whole thing. So it's probably would be better for us if we can drag it, right?
yeah, well, the other thing is there are many times when we thought we were going to be back, and for whatever reason we went on a hike or something took longer, whatever, we get back, and now guess what? Now the dinghy is sitting out there in 20 foot of water, and somebody has to swim to the dinghy
Yeah.
after you've been hiking for 9 hours, and you're dead.
And not just swimming is hard, but there are long tails there because that's like the traffic.
Traffic.
So
coming.
you're swimming in the traffic zone to get your dinghy, and those guys, they have this, if you saw, it's like long shaft motors. They're not looking for you.
No,
Like,
no.
okay, maybe if you're smart, you have this orange life jackets, but still you're in the traffic zone swimming where you're not supposed to get your dinghy. It is not safe.
No.
And plus, what if at night you swimming?
At night,
Not fun.
also there are huge coral heads,
Yeah.
and you're swimming your dinghy, and a big boat goes past you, and now the wake hits you to where you're going to hit the coral heads with your knees, and you're going to have no knees left.
Yeah, there are
So,
sea urchins there.
so what you think is like the Bahamas having a cup of coffee and walking out to your dinghy doesn't work in 90% of the anchorages. So the only option you have is to plan your day around the tide and get in and make sure you get back when the dinghy's floating. So, having a dinghy that you can drag and slide around is probably more important than having a dinghy that can hit a rock. It's the safety factor, because
No, I don't know about that. I think it's personally I take the dinghy that can hit the rock, because otherwise this man is like, we can't go there. There is a rock. We have to get out. Like, it literally minimizes the places you can go to 50%.
see, that's why we don't have this is why we have two dinghies. We have the little plastic recycled dinghy
I love my dinghy.
that she goes around in, and then we have this big ass tank. But we're not going to be able to put this aluminum dinghy being electric, because that's another issue. Is if you want electric power on a dinghy, you're still going to have a battery that's weighing about 150 pounds, and so add that to the motor, to the weight of the dinghy, and now that hanging way off the back of your boat, it just isn't feasible.
Yeah, so we're thinking about it. If you know cool options, send us an email that you think gonna work for us. 307 people still watching. Thank you, guys. That's amazing. We actually covered all our comments.
We covered the questions in the comments.
So if you guys have any questions that are related to the boat, not the future upgrades, because that's we're going to do a separate video about, please write them in the comment section so we can. My feet have PTSD from getting into coral.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You just touch that, just touch it, and everything's in blood. And then you're like, okay, now here comes the sharks, because the sharks love blood and tourists. So
yeah, so a quick recap while 300 people are watching. So I'm going to say my part. My part is that next Saturday we are posting a video with interview of our captain and his crew who brought a boat, with some of our comments about the voyage. That's going to be the next Saturday video. Then we're going to do, next video is going to be about all the upgrades We're going to sit down on a boat and talk about the upgrades we are planning and why. That's going to be the next video. And then after those two videos, we're going to be releasing actual refits, starting like, what are we doing? Like smashing the walls potentially and ripping out the inside. So everything, all of that's going to start after that. So I gave you guys what you can expect.
Yep. Yeah. Mrs. Tool comes back to work. Sledgehammer, sawzall. I'm freaking out again because this woman with power tools. I just want to make sure she still has all of her fingers when we're finished.
Okay, so before the AC, is your monohull still sailing the world? And somebody else, she hung around with that steel tub, proof she loves you. Actually, we were just yesterday, we mentioned that watching those videos from Bahamas. I love that boat. Honestly, I thought I'm going to die on it. Like, I thought this is the boat, and that was the mentality of us fixing it and why we did all that work, because we thought we're gonna be forever on it. Like we're both gonna die on it. And we probably would die on it one day.
Several times I thought we were gonna die on it. Smashing the complete St. Augustine Marina was devastated and smashed to pieces. They had to close it, and there's one boat still sitting there, our boat, and then Pierre's boat survived.
No, there were a couple of boats
survived, a few people made it, but
our
it was so. Back to
Old Tub.
Yes.
Yeah, we love that boat.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a bad boat at all. And
it's still sailing.
Yeah.
It's still somewhere between Bahamas and Miami. Yeah, it's still moving around. It's still rusting. A friend said that I saw your boat the other day. It's more orange than it is color. But yeah, it's still running around.
Yeah. And then DJ Petru, William, give up the secret on how you're going to give Yana all the AC.
All right, I'll cover that briefly.
All right.
Okay.
I'm writing it down.
We learned, even on this boat, we took the AC air conditioning out and we put in a DC Mabru air conditioner. And we were able to run the DC air conditioner all night long, just off the solar and the battery. And I'm talking about small batteries, 12 volt, not 48.
My legs are falling asleep.
So when we were running the AC through a Victron Multiplus, I was bringing the SOC, the state of charge, down to about 50. When we went to the DC with a variable speed water pump and variable speed compressor, variable speed fan in our main cabin, I would only bring the SOC down to 80. So we have no problem running two 12,000 BTU air conditioners DC in the main salon off of the solar and the sun, and by having the solar shade over the top of the boat. No problem. Now add to that, instead of 12 volt, add 24 or 48 volt lithium. Now what we found is that you run the generator in the evening for 30 minutes if you didn't have sunshine, and charge your batteries up and you're good for another 2 days. So using DC variable speed air conditioning changes the whole world. Most boats have a generator because of air conditioning. So if you can use battery and DC air conditioning, it's more cost up front, but now you're saving without having to have a generator, anodes, maintenance, diesel fuel, exhaust, room, weight, etc. So DC air conditioners coupled with 24 or 48 volt lithium systems for very good storage, and then let the sun during the day charge your batteries. And if you need to top them up, then you can either start up a generator, or you can start up a port or aft engine, or you can start up both engines, recharge those large lithium banks, and be living off of battery power. So air conditioning DC is the secret. The other secret is to have proper storage and not be running your appliances at nighttime.
Yeah.
Shut everything off at nighttime. Take the same 12,000 BTU.
What did I do? Sorry. I'm like freaking out.
Divert it into your main salon and let it only run once every 2 hours. So insulation is also very important.
Yeah, and also probably you cannot run any appliances in the evening. And like, okay, even if you have no nothing is running at night, but then I turned the dishwasher in the evening and it ran for an hour. Well, guess what? And he, for example, I don't know, he was sleeping, let's just say that. So our batteries were already at, let's just say 70% after that. Just then you're already starting at 70 your night. So that's not okay. So you need to know that like in the evening you cannot use that, or like how much you can use, or what you cannot use as a team, because that's very important. And one time, remember, like we something was working or something, we woke up, remember, to completely dead boat in the storm.
Yeah, we were,
when we were not even familiar with this boat yet. I think it was like the first night or something.
yeah, the batteries got below the threshold and the BMS shut everything down.
Like bad for a sec.
Oh, okay.
Are we still online? Let us know.
Is the color bear on?
No, it shouldn't
Okay.
be. No.
So that's the secret. The secret is to properly design, and then how you utilize your energy. Let that energy be used during the daytime when it's sunshine.
Embrace the energy.
Embrace the energy.
And by the way, somebody said that our dinghy in English would be called something like a shit brick or something. That was something very funny.
A brick shit house.
Yes,
Yes, that was our old saying. Is a brick shit house means that it never went away, even in a tornado.
Yeah,
So
that was really funny.
well, I think that we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, guys. It was amazing to chat with you. A lot of cool, active people. And by the way, somebody said Gypsy has a new dinghy. You should check it out.
All right. We
will.
There's a saying that we have. We never find the perfect dinghy. Like, it's bad finding the perfect boat, but a perfect dinghy, it doesn't exist.
No, I personally think our aluminum dinghy was as close to our perfect dinghy as it could. Like, I loved it. And somebody said, like, we use an anchor to a buoy with a shackle, and a shackle tied off on a shore, and a long line in a loop through both shackles, and you can use the line to bring the boat into the beach and back to the buoy.
You can. The thing in Thailand is that in many places, because of the tidal shift and because of the shallow waters, you'll have almost 300 meters of sand before the water when the tide is low. And when the tide is high, you've got almost 4 meters of water depth. So that shift in only an 8-hour period is so high that the only way you can really do that with your dinghy is to drag the thing all the way up onto the sand. All of the other techniques, they work fine, but either you're swimming the dinghy to get in or you're swimming to the dinghy to get out. We've done everything. We've gone ashore. I've gotten out, take the dinghy back. Yana's gotten out. We've gone through all the different experiences, and to date, the best and safest is just slide the damn thing up on the sand, drag it up, and go do your thing and come back when you want.
Yeah, but even like our bathtub, like that small dinghy, is kind of small. It's kind of heavy.
Yeah,
even to drag that one together,
it's
not that easy.
We added wheels. Well, guess what? Those nice big wheels that look all cool. You pick the dinghy up, the wheels sink down in the sand or the gravel, the stones.
Yeah, it's not like a walk in the park either, because you're not dragging it a little bit. You're dragging it a long way. It's far.
So
yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Amazing. Was very cool to chat with you. We answered, we think, most of the comments.
Like, subscribe, send this channel to your buddies and friends.
And so we're going to do another live after we post the upgrades video, probably, right? And answer a couple of those questions.
Probably.
Too.
Send as many questions as you like. We try to answer. Now we're actually getting an awful lot of comments. So sometimes we have to sit down for an hour or two and answer, which is why we like to take the questions, do a live like this, and then be interactive. So
be interactive.
430.
Thank you, guys. See, I do love this man. And he does love me.
And we're still here.
And we're still here.
All right.
All right, guys. It was very cool to talk to you. Bye.
Happy New Year. And